This is a Hungarian author and a Hungarian book. Eszter Kovács is a young Hungarian political scientist, a left-wing political scientist who wrote her thesis, PhD thesis, on the comparison of the German anti-gender movement and the Hungarian anti-gender movement, the AfD party in Germany and Orbán's Hungary. And this came out in a book called Gender Crazes in Germany and Hungary. It's a gender critical book, but very, very good analysis and very thorough scientific analysis of the two movements. And I'm very happy that this book appeared, because now it has been launched just 2 weeks ago. It was launched 2 weeks ago, but now finally we have a book to refer to. And finally, some fun facts about the Lesbian Resistance Conference, the EL*C conference that happened in Budapest. You could see it was 2 weeks ago, last weekend. I did not take part in this conference, but some of the organizers were the Lesbian Association, Labris, the Lesbian Association. And I think partly this conference came to Hungary to show solidarity with us under the Orbán regime. And what happened on this lesbian conference? Kathleen Stock also took part on this conference. She was invited, and she wrote a very good article about the conference and the dilemma on cultural colonialism by Western donors of Hungarian and East European feminist and lesbian movement. And I decided to quote from it because I think, first of all, it's her mother tongue, English is her mother tongue, and she summarized our dilemma very, very well. And it's also interesting how she saw this Budapest conference, which was very, very international. It was all in English, of course. So I'm quoting from Kathleen Stock, author of Material Girls. Officially, the story from the stage, I mean the stage of the lesbian conference, was that the Rainbow Coalition needed to stick together like glue against the anti-gender backlash currently being waged by Orbán, Putin, Erdogan, and others. No queer left behind. For these self-styled strongmen, gender, vaguely defined, is a strategically useful symbol for everything terrible about the decadent West. Inevitably, a polarized situation has emerged, with both sides insisting the T be lumped together with the LG and B for good or ill. On one side, Fidesz used the extremes of Western transactivism to justify incursions on the rights of women, gays, and the sex non-conforming generally. And on the other, in the name of solidarity, Hungarian and Western progressives insist there is no difference between these extreme demands and more staid requests like being able to teach school children about homosexuality or demanding the right to gay marriage. Continue. Left-wing gender-critical lesbians like those I met in that Budapest bar, because Kathleen Stock, after the official conference, also met some gender-critical lesbians. Some of them are good friends and colleagues of mine in a Budapest bar. So in that Budapest bar are stuck in the middle of all this, a means to everyone else's ends. The state paints them as deviant and anti-family to bash the liberals, while progressives in Hungary and their Western supporters demand that they pretend that their interests perfectly align with the rest of the rainbow. If lesbians nonetheless insist perfectly sensibly that female biology makes a difference to their political interests as lesbians, they are treated as somehow in league with the far right. And I think in the West, far right, like Orbán is seen as a far right politician. And finally, the last quotation, the international rejection of extreme trans ideology will be a Pyrrhic victory if it is accompanied by a raft of measures against women, gays, and sex non-conforming people, says Kathleen Stock in an article. You see Kathleen Stock's photo on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, you see an Austrian activist of the same conference who helped found this conference, fundraised for it, and moderated it, and one of the moving force behind this lesbian conference. And what happened? Her name is Faika El-Nagashi from Vienna, Austria, a longtime lesbian activist and an ex-ELC board member. She registered to the conference, she bought her ticket and arranged the accommodation, and one night before her trip to Budapest, Hungary, she was told that her registration was revoked because her recent public statements violated the ELC's core values. So she came to Hungary, but she was not allowed to take part on the conference.